There is a kind of pain that does not come from your enemies. It comes from the silence of the one you love the most. You have prayed, you have fasted, you have poured your heart out on the floor until you had no words left. And heaven says, nothing. No answer. No sign. No open door. Just silence. And that silence can do something to your faith that the loudest attack never could. Listen to me today, because this is where so many believers fall. The enemy cannot always stop your prayers. So instead, he waits for the silence. He waits for that gap between the prayer and the answer. And in that gap, he goes to work on your mind. He whispers that God has forgotten you. He whispers that you must have done something wrong. He whispers that nothing is coming. And if you believe him, you will sabotage the very breakthrough that was already on its way to you. But hear the promise of God in Habakkuk 2:3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come, and will not delay. Read that carefully. God never said there would be no waiting. He said the waiting has a purpose, and the answer already has a date. The silence of God is not the absence of God. So today we are going to expose 6 things you must never do when God goes quiet. Because what you do in the silence will decide whether you walk into your promise or wander away from it. 1. Never take matters into your own hands. This is the first and most expensive mistake of the silence. You prayed, you waited, and the days dragged on with no reply. And slowly, the silence becomes unbearable. So you decide to help God out. You stop waiting and you start forcing. You push on doors He never told you to touch. You make the rushed decision. You take the shortcut, and you tell yourself you are only being practical. But look at Abraham. God promised him a son. And when the answer did not come fast enough, Abraham and Sarah grew tired of waiting, and they manufactured their own version of the promise. The result was Ishmael, a child born of impatience. And the pain of that one decision echoed for generations. Hear this truth, and never forget it. What you force with your own hands, you will have to carry with your own strength. Then look at King Saul. He was told to wait for the prophet Samuel. He waited 7 days. And on the edge of the 7th, when the silence felt like more than he could bear, he stepped out of his place and offered the sacrifice himself. That single act of impatience cost him his entire kingdom. Psalm 27:14 is not a gentle suggestion, it is a command. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is warfare. And when the urge to force it rises up inside you, declare it out loud. I will not run ahead of God. I will wait and I will trust His timing. 2. Never believe the silence means rejection. This is the lie the enemy loves the most, because in the quiet, your own mind becomes a courtroom, and you become the accused. What did I do wrong? Is God punishing me? Has He turned His back on me for good? And before long, you are not waiting on God anymore. You are grieving a rejection that never even happened. Hear what God says in Isaiah 49:15. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. That is the heart of your Father toward you. His silence is not Him walking away. It is not Him losing interest. He has not forgotten you for a single second. And do not forget Lazarus. When Jesus heard that the man He loved was dying, the Bible says something that makes no sense to the human heart. He stayed where he was 2 more days. He delayed on purpose. Not because He did not care, but because He was preparing a resurrection that a quick answer would have made impossible. The delay was not rejection. The delay was love arranging a far greater miracle. So, when the silence tries to tell you that you have been abandoned, do not argue with your feelings. Speak over them. His silence is not His absence. God has not forgotten me. 3. Never stop praying just because you stopped hearing. This is the quiet surrender that so many people never even notice in themselves. You do not announce it. You do not decide to walk away from God. You just pray a little less. The prayers get shorter. Then they get colder. Then one day you realize you have not truly cried out in weeks because you tell yourself, what is the point? He is not answering anyway. But that is exactly the moment the enemy was waiting for, because Jesus told a parable for this very season. In Luke 18:1, He taught His disciples that they should always pray and never give up. He told of a widow who kept coming, and kept coming to the judge until her answer finally came. Not because she was the loudest, because she simply would not quit. Understand this. Prayer in the silence is not you begging an unwilling God. It is you keeping the line open while heaven finishes its work behind the scenes. The moment you stop knocking is the moment you risk walking away one single day before the door was set to open. So, do not let the silence shut your mouth. Keep knocking, keep crying out. Even when you feel absolutely nothing, declare it. I will not stop knocking, I will pray until the answer comes. 4. Never run to the wrong voices for your answers. This is one of the most dangerous traps of all, and it is born out of pure desperation. When God is silent, the human heart panics. It wants an answer from somewhere, anywhere. So people start running to voices God never told them to consult. The horoscope, the psychic, the so-called spiritual reader, or simply the loud, ungodly opinions of people who do not know God at all. This is exactly where King Saul fell for the very last time. The Bible says that when Saul prayed and God did not answer him, not by dreams, not by prophets, by nothing at all, he did not keep waiting on the Lord. He went and found a medium in the dark of night. He turned to the very thing God had forbidden, and that night sealed his destruction. Isaiah 8:19 asks the question that should settle this forever. When people tell you to consult the mediums and the spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God instead? Hear me clearly. A delayed word from God is infinitely safer than an instant word from the enemy. The silence of heaven is never an invitation to open a door to darkness, so guard that door and declare it. I will wait for the voice of God. I will not chase the voice of the world. 5. Never let the silence harden into bitterness. There is a way of waiting that quietly destroys you, and it is called grumbling. When the answer is slow, the flesh wants to complain. You begin to rehearse everything that is wrong. You start to compare your life to everyone whose prayers seem to get answered overnight. And little by little, the disappointment in your heart turns into a quiet, dangerous bitterness against God Himself. Remember the people of Israel in the wilderness. God had just split the sea in front of them. And yet the moment the journey got hard and the provision got quiet, they grumbled. They complained. They accused God of bringing them out only to abandon them in the desert. And that entire generation wandered in circles and died in the wilderness, never entering the promise. Not because of their enemies, but because of their own grumbling. Now hear the better way. In Psalm 42, the writer is in deep pain and God feels far away, but instead of grumbling, he turns and speaks to his own soul. Why, my soul, are you so downcast? Put your hope in God. That is the difference between honest lament and poisonous bitterness. One draws you closer to God, the other drags you away from Him. So in the long wait, guard your heart against the slow rot of complaint, and when bitterness comes, knocking, declare it. I will not let this season make me bitter. I will trust Him in the dark. 6. And this is the most important warning of all. Never give up right before the whisper. Listen closely because this is where breakthroughs are stolen. So many believers do not lose because they were defeated. They lose because they quit one single step too soon. They endured the long silence. They held on through the night. And then right at the edge of the answer, they finally let go. And the enemy's entire strategy in your silent season is simply this: to make you quit before the whisper ever comes. Look at the prophet Elijah. He was exhausted, afraid, and so far gone that he sat down under a tree and begged God to let him die. And then God told him to go and stand on the mountain. A great and powerful wind tore through the rocks, but the Lord was not in the wind. Then came an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. Then a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after all the noise, after all the silence, there came a gentle whisper. And that whisper is where God had been all along. Hear this: your God is so often not in the loud and the dramatic. He is in the whisper that you will only hear if you refuse to walk away. Galatians 6:9 promises you this: let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. If we do not give up. The harvest already has a date, but you have to still be standing there to receive it. So, do not quit in the silence. Your answer may be one whisper away. Stand your ground and declare it. I will not quit before the whisper. My breakthrough is closer than my feelings. So hear me before you go. The silence of God is one of the hardest tests your faith will ever face, but it is not a punishment. It is a classroom. In the silence, God is not absent. He is building something in you that the noise and the quick answers never could. Anyone can trust God when the answers are pouring in. But the faith that is forged in the silence, the faith that keeps waiting, keeps praying, and keeps trusting when heaven seems quiet, that is the faith that moves the very hand of God. So, do not waste your silent season. Do not force it. Do not curse it. And whatever you do, do not walk away from it. Remember the promise. Though it linger, wait for it. It will surely come. If this message found you in a silent season, share it right now with someone who needs to hear it. And write in the comments, His silence is not His absence. Because the God who feels silent today is still working on your answer right now, and He has not forgotten you.